Hold up.
Hey guys, it is Tristan with Nerdut's Newsstand, and I want to talk a little bit about the best comic book publishers of the year. There has been some really great indie hits this year, and I want to talk about it. And I want to talk about what I think my best pick is, and you may actually be surprised. Now, of course, all of this is subjective, but before I get into it, I want to make sure I tell everyone to have a happy holidays, Merry Christmas to you and yours. I hope everybody enjoys the next week and a half. And if you're watching this after the new year, that's okay too. I hope you had a great holiday also. Now, there has been, like I said, some amazing indie hits and some pretty good mainstream ones too. I am curious what your guys' pick are of the year. I do have a poll going on my community post, and clearly I have attracted some DC fans. I wonder why, but that seems to be right out ahead of everything else, and I'm actually not surprised. But let's jump right into my number 5. I have AWA Upshot. Now, I am really liking a lot of what they're doing. For me, it is very much so hit and miss. Erotic was phenomenal. Like one of the best books, but it is a little bit older of a book, and I have to be fair here. They also had Chariot, which was really good. Fight Girls, which was decent. Knighted, I'm really liking, but we're only 2 issues in so far. Out is kind of keeping my attention. Again, I'm going to have to give it a few issues. There is a lot of good from AWA. They're just very small at this point, and they had a really good Christmas-ish book last year, so I couldn't count it really this year. It was called Bite Size. It was very cute. But once they get some more books going and kind of grow a little bit, I have no doubts that they'll probably be higher on the list next year. So for number 4, I have Aftershock Comics. And oh my gosh, they had some amazing books this year. Starting right out in front with Nuclear Family. It is Stephanie Phillips' best work thus far, ever. It is really great. They do have a lot, or a couple at least, of these like history sci-fi stories. Some are in alternate history, such as the book I'm talking about now, Nuclear Family. And some are real history, which is Almost American by Ron Mars. It's something that's really good. I've also really been enjoying Cross to Bear. It is very brutal. It is very badass, and it is centered around people killing in the name of religion and then basically realizing it was bad. And then we get a woman in a refrigerator, and I don't care because I'm not crazy. No, I'm just kidding. But we also had stuff like Beyond the Breach and Baby Teeth, Buddy Mask, which I haven't personally read yet, but I've heard good things about. We had Phantom of the Scan, which was all right. Project Patron by Steve Orlando. I have it picked up. I haven't got a chance to read it yet. And also Search for Who. All really great titles. And honestly, I expect there will probably be more incoming. Another smaller company kind of on the rise with really good books. Which moves us right on to number 3, which would have been a little further back in my list had it not been for one book in particular that I personally don't necessarily enjoy, and that's Boom Studios. Now, Boom Studios had Berserker, and Berserker was a massive hit. Massive hit. Of course, it's Keanu Reeves, but it's such a dude comic, and I know a lot of people enjoy it, so I had to make sure I put this on my list. I personally love The Many Deaths of Layla Starr. That was my favorite, one of my favorite books this year, and it was phenomenal. Anything Ron V really touches is good. But they also had Faithless. Another, and Faithless 2, another really good. House of Slaughter. See, Boom doesn't have as many big hits or good hits, but they have bigger hits, right? They have Something is Killing the Children, which is honestly, for lack of a pun, killing it when it comes to sales. And then they have the spinoff House of Slaughter. We're only 2 issues in so far, and it's not quite as interesting because I love Erica Slaughter, but it is definitely worth checking out. It is something that I think it needs a little bit more footing as far as House of Slaughter, and I do think it'll be just as good. I have faith in James Tynion. And we also have Once and Future there, right? Like, you can't argue with Dan Mora. You really can't. Proctor Valley Road was a trip. Like, but when you read Grant Morrison, you just know it's going to be a trip. It's different, but it's really good. So, for number 2, I have DC Comics. Yeah, right. They made number 2. My whole channel is centered around them, and they made number 2. And that's because we had a couple lackluster events this year, and we're going into a bunch of mini events. So I'm kind of going to wait it out and see. But there was some great hits from them also. And I have to mention it here, even though I may be in the minority, but Wonder Woman Historia was amazing. I love Wonder Girl. I love the Wonder family. So it's nice to see her get an upcoming event front and center as far as Trial of the Amazons. Now I'm hoping we get a little bit more editorial oversight and kind of maybe get a little bit more organization. We've had an awful lot of Batman lately, and I'm a big Batman fan. I'm a huge Batman fan. But you know what? Somebody, even if they like Batman, likes the other flavors too, right? Like, I love the Urban Legend because that feels like a Bat family title. I love Detective Comics by Mariko Tamaki. Arkham Order of the World is phenomenal. It really feels like they're hitting it out of the ball with their Elseworld stuff more, though. We've got Dark Knights of Steel. And I'm not sure. I believe Task Force Z is actually in continuity now that I say that out loud. I'm pretty sure it is. DC vs. Vampires. And then all of the titles like Batman the Imposter, One Dark Knight. These are all really great titles. But if you notice, they have one thing in common. It's Batman. So let's hope that Philip Kennedy Johnson can keep the momentum he has going with the Warworld saga, but we also have great Superman titles like Superman 78. So they are doing a good job. I just feel like it needs a little bit of streamlining, and hopefully in the next year or so, they will actually do that. Hopefully whatever this crisis is, rumored crisis, they will actually get their stuff together and move forward, and then we will get maybe again, lack of pun here, a rebirth of DC Comics. And of course, it's gotta be. It has to be. Number 1 for me is Image Comics. There is nothing, and I mean no publisher out there that can even compete with this series that they have. It is very likely if you pick up something from Image, you will enjoy it. Even if it's not necessarily something in your normal ball field, you're going to enjoy it. Saga is coming back. Need I say more? Okay. Yeah, I definitely need to say more because they're my number 1 pick. But you've got Righteous Thirst for Vengeance. Just came out this week. You also have Philadelphia. Now, that's not necessarily my favorite title, but I do know a lot of people are loving it. But I love Moonshine. That's a great title. Radiant Black. Again, not maybe something that I necessarily enjoy. I think Kyle Higgins does a good job, but it's not necessarily my favorite title. But I know people out there that really enjoy that title. There are so many good ones. And let me say this right now. They have the Department of Truth on there, and it is phenomenal. It is my number 1 pick for the year. Also, I'm going to do a terrible what do we call it? Self-promotion here. They have Stray Dogs, another phenomenal book. And the creators of Stray Dogs will be on my channel on Monday, the 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about Dog Days, to talk about the book, to talk about the future of that series as a whole. So that should be a lot of fun to talk to Tony Fleece and Trish Forstner. So there is something for everybody at Image. There absolutely is. Crossover is another phenomenal book. It is, of course, to be fair, by Donny Cates, and you would absolutely expect it to be good, but good isn't even the way to put it. good is being nice, right? And of course, you have older stuff like Hit Girl and all of that. There's always going to be something for you there. Not to mention Jupiter's Legacy, and you've got Mercy and Sweet Paprika, like monstrous. There really is nothing better right now as a comic fan than to look at Image Comics, kind of go through the titles and be able to pick out what you like. Primordial. What's the other one by him? By Jeff Lemire. May's Book. Both really good. Again, not necessarily like top 10 of the year good, but definitely worth checking out. They have Sex Criminals. That's older. I guess we're talking current year. But even so, you get my point here. I'm shilling way too much for one video. There is a bunch of books that The Good Asian, not necessarily for me, but a lot of people really love that book. All right, I'll quit. My point is, DC is very superhero centered. Marvel, who didn't even make my top 5 list, is very superhero centered. This Image has something for everybody. Even AWA and Aftershock, they do also, right? But this is a wide variety of what you could like. You like conspiracies, you like superheroes, you like witches, you like wizards. You're going to find it, right? Anyways, let me know, of course, you like Mark Millar. Okay, I'll quit. Anyways, let me know, of course, what your guys' number one pick of the year is for publishers. And I will see you in the next one.